Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Sorry for the long delay. I'm trying to get everything working. The first time I pushed stream, it didn't work, and then a whole bunch of things didn't work for the starting of the recording. So there's a whole bunch of things that are not working. But good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is September 2nd, 2025, and the ostriches are on the block. Father Ted was arrested again in the United Kingdom by 5 officers, and so the free speech stuff doesn't really exist anymore in our world, which is unfortunate, very unfortunate, actually. Trump wants to see the Pfizer numbers. We're going to look at that, and I think that it's an interesting kind of everybody in the world is interested in those Pfizer numbers. They tried to hide that for 75 years, and then everybody just plumb forgot. And Trump's been saying that Operation Warp Speed is super successful, and everybody says it's the best thing since sliced bread. What do you say, Pfizer? And so Pfizer's now a little bit on the hot seat, and so we'll look at that. Censoring, spending $22 billion on foreign aid, but we're not allowed to know any of the information about that censoring. So that's super weird. Like, that's definitely very strange. Globe and Mail are trying to turn down the temperature, but they failed. They say, hey, Pierre Poilievre, there's no invasion going on anymore. Everything's fine now. So stop being silly, you silly guy, you. And I think that that's like, it's super weird how all of this stuff is going on because it's just gaslighting. And as I said, ostriches are on the block. But for some reason, man, my computer's just being really weird this morning. There's one. So Viva Fry is the one who's reporting it, and he's got a tweet, and the tweet is right here, but for whatever reason, I can't access the tweet. It won't load for me. It says something went wrong, result code hung. I don't know. So they're not letting Viva Fry's tweet get out, but he's basically saying that he's got some insider information saying that the people in the Canadian government who want to kill the ostriches are going to move on the ostriches this week, and they're basically, he's trying to get eyes on, and so there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we start with this tweet that won't load. Viva Fry saying the ostriches are in imminent danger of being culled by the Canadian government, and this is all in relation to bird flu and a test of bird flu from, I think, like last November or December, October, November, December last year. And they said, no, you can't kill these birds. Only a couple of them are unhealthy. And now they're healthy because the test was years ago. And the government says, if you test these birds to prove that they're healthy, you'll get fined and thrown in jail and all sorts of stuff. You cannot stop the process. And I think that the reason that they're doing this, and again, apologies that I can't load this tweet. It's ridiculous that I can't load this tweet. I would try and load it some other way. I tried on an incognito window and it just does the same thing. It just hangs. So I don't know what they've done. It could just be my computer as well. So I'm hopeful that the rest of these load properly. But fundamentally, they're using this justification and they're saying, we can't revisit this in order to bolster their position for when they say you have to go to a facility because you tested positive for whatever disease this is with our very, very certain PCR test here. And now you have to go to a facility and you can't leave until this PCR test says you're clear, or you take our vaccine or whatever we're going to force you to take. And this is just a microcosm of that more broad social push. They're doing this to the birds because they want to do this to us. That's my gut feeling. I hope I'm wrong about that, but who knows? So I hope I'm wrong. And health-wise, Donald Trump is wondering, is Project Warp Speed as good as you tell me it is? Can you prove it to me publicly? Let's talk about it publicly, Pfizer, says Donald Trump. Election Wizard says, here's Trump on the COVID vaccine. It's very important that drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. I'm not counted among that group of people. Others disagree, says Trump, with CDC being ripped apart over this question. I want the answer, and I want it now. I've been shown information from Pfizer and others that this is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off onto the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and the CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug companies' COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter, President Donald Trump. So, I mean, it's not year 4. That's something. Do you think that we'll see any kind of resolution to this COVID thing? Do you think that we'll see Fauci in handcuffs? I don't know. I'm very skeptical that we're going to see any kind of accountability. I would love to see accountability. Here is going back in time. Do you remember this? I remember this clearly. these guys were doctors, and these doctors were saying, hey, like this COVID thing is certainly not a big deal. We should not be locking people down. We should not be doing these things that we're doing. And they were right. And 5 years later, we know for sure they were right. And isn't that crazy? Here's a blast from the past. Here we go.
When I look at the
it's been a couple of days since the last incidents of too fast talking. Apologies. Here we go again. Let's try it again.
When I look at the basic tenets that we know of microbiology, and I say, do we need to still shelter in place? Our answer is emphatically no. Do we need businesses to be shut down? Emphatically no. Do we need to test them and get them back to work? Yes, we do. The secondary effects that we went over, the child abuse, alcoholism, loss of revenue, all these are, in our opinion, a significantly more detrimental thing to society than a virus that is proven similar in nature to the seasonal flu we have every year. We also need to put measures in place so economic shutdown like this does not happen again. We want to make sure we understand that quarantining the sick is what we do, not quarantining the healthy. We need to make sure if you're gonna dance on someone's constitutional rights, you better have a good reason. You better have a really good scientific reason and not just theory. We're going to work diligently to find a vaccine, and one of the most important things is we need our hospitals back up. We need our furloughed doctors back. We need our nurses back, because when we lift this thing, we're going to need all hands on deck. I know that the local hospitals have closed 2 floors. Folks, that's not the situation you want.
Since COVID in Canada, we've had rural hospitals close down, rural hospitals remove and reduce their emergency services. No doctors, no nurses. They've fired a bunch of nurses because they wouldn't take the COVID vaccine, which has maybe some issues, right? And so, and proven issues that are not talked about right now, but I think it's still mandated all sorts of places in Canada. So it's absolutely incredible. I'm interested. That's one of the reasons why I think this is such a public interest story in Canada as well as around the rest of the world. Nicholas says Pfizer is a criminal enterprise. Their own documents reveal that they were aware of 1,223 deaths within 3 months of the COVID-19 vaccine rollout and did absolutely nothing about it. Accountability is warranted. And this is in response to Trump talking about the Operation Warp Speed. So we'll see how that all plays out. Here is people are trying to, this is Robert Kennedy talking about, I remember losing my YouTube channel because I repeated these theories that he's talking about now, the tricks that they're pulling with regards to efficacy and the first dose, second dose, and if you die between the first dose and the second dose, well, that's an unvaccinated death. This is going to be unvaccinated winter of death and destruction or something like that. Bullshit, right? And I said, this is bullshit. And then I lost my YouTube channel. And now, I mean, they can take me off YouTube again. I don't care. Whatever. Screw you, YouTube. They limit money. They limit views. They're censorship based. They can get effed, honestly. So anyway, here's Bobby Kennedy talking about this.
The vaccine is ineffective for the first 6 weeks after the first shot. I'm assuming a 2-shot, a 2-dose vaccine like Pfizer or Moderna. And that during that period, the COVID infection rate goes up and the death rate goes up. And the data, the official data, do not count you as vaccinated until 2 weeks after the second shot. So the deaths that happened during that first 6 weeks are attributed to unvaccinated people, to the unvaccinated group, which is not, it's a trick. It's a statistical trick. Then the vaccine appears to provide immunity, and good immunity during the first month or 2 months, and then a precipitous decline, a waning that happens very, very quickly and very precipitously, so that by the 7th month, it has lapsed into negative efficacy. And what that means is that after 7 months, if you had that vaccine, you are more likely to get COVID than somebody who has never been vaccinated. And this data is holding up across every country in the world.
Pretty wild. So if you took the vaccine after 7 months, you're more likely to get COVID again than you would have been before. And they silenced anybody who speculated on this, who shared this, who said, hey, like there's some problems with this. And what's the response? Anomaly says something is happening. Fire RFK now, says Chuck Schumer. Disclosed TV says Trump wants to know about the mass injections. Bernie Sanders says Robert Kennedy is endangering the health of American people now and into the future. We need the science at the CDC, not conspiracy theory. Kennedy must resign. Read my new piece in the New York Times. And Robert Malone says the real reason for the recent CDC resignations is that the ACIP subcommittee on COVID-19 vaccines got approval to investigate the safety and efficacy of the COVID vaccines. And they knew the gig was up. The jig was up. The truth was about to come out, and they would have to account for their actions. All you need to do is read the recently approved terms of reference for that subcommittee, and it all becomes clear. So it's interesting, and we'll see if anybody goes to jail. We'll see if there's any accountability at all. This guy's talking about how he's renting a car. Well, it's only a minute. This is health related, but not COVID related and not ostrich related. It's just kind of health related. It would go at the end of the show, but it kind of only fit here. So here's a quick kind of, not moment of zen, but just moment of information. Apparently all the cars are now cell phone towers. They're all being used as repeating cell phone towers, and you can't turn it off. So you're driving around in a cell phone tower with all that radiation. And he says, you know how you can't keep anything in your head anymore? You just forget everything. You drops right out of your head. You're just gone. It's because of this interference in your brain. Maybe. I think it's really plausible. I read a workup about Russians developing something like Wi-Fi background radiation as a weapon that would be not very detectable, but really, really effective for removing people's ability to keep thoughts in their head. But I'm paraphrasing. Here we go.
So I got a rental today because I had to get my car fixed. And check this. These new cars are cell phone towers. That's what that is right there. See that? And you can't turn them off. So if you're getting a car, you should be getting an old car. Otherwise, you're just going to get blasted with radio frequencies the entire time. Check that. Like a cell phone tower while you're driving around. Then you wonder why you can't remember anything. Kind of understand it. And it's more wild because when you go through all the settings like this and you go to locations, look at all these things. This is all what's watching people. So literally you're driving around your car and your camera's watching you. Your microphone is listening to you the entire time. Then this gets uploaded to Google. So when they ask where all the ChatGPT information's coming from, guess what? Here you go. And then here's one more app I found. GSR Speed Assist app. This tracks your speed so that Google gets your information the entire time. Let's say you're speeding and nobody knows. Guess what? Google knows, and they can send you a ticket. So it's important to buy an older car. That's
Man, I want to just build a car. I want to have my own car. It'll be a car with wheels and an engine, a gas engine maybe. Not an electric engine. Holly Doan, let's do a grab bag of governance, and this is finance governance. Lots of dollar signs. Holly Doan says taxpayers are owed updated figures from Finance Canada. Minister Champagne on cost of subsidies for EV battery factories, says the PBO. And well, they've been neutered. They don't have a leader anymore. The PBO doesn't have a leader, and that's by design. The current guy, and I can't remember his name, but I've reported with him a lot. I've reported on him a lot. His term has expired, and Carney's not appointed anybody new. So effectively neutering the office completely. Wah, wah, right? There's no rules that say I have to appoint a new person and in the timeline. So we'll see. Also, we don't have a budget. And so I'd love updated numbers for more than just the EV battery factory subsidies. I'd love numbers on everything. How about we get a budget? How about that? Why is it tolerable? Why aren't the conservatives screaming bloody murder about this all summer long? Like, they could have gone on a no budget tour of the whole country talking about how Mark Carney's a weakling because he doesn't have a budget, but they haven't done anything. They went on vacation. How many of them went to Israel? I'm just wondering. Bradshaw says Mark Carney wants Canadians to pay $22 billion to Ukraine, but it's none of our business about the details. So the Western Standard is reporting Ottawa censors details of $22 billion in aid to Ukraine. So, you don't get to see that. We're just using your money, but you don't get to see about what? Can you imagine if, when I was a kid, my dad used to leave, this is the high trust society we used to live in. My dad used to leave the gas card in the car visible. It was a credit card. It was a Petro-Canada credit card, and it was just in the bottom change tray thing, and it just sat there. And so one night, my friend and I were out, and we got gas, and I was like, we could get Slurpees, and we could probably also get chips, and we did. And then my dad was like, what is it? What are you buying? I know how much a tank of gas costs, and the expectation was that if I used the car, that I gassed the car up to make sure that my dad could get to work because he had to drive a long distance to get to work. And so I was fine with that, especially if I could get Slurpees and chips. And he's like, I know how much my gas tank takes to fill. I know how much it costs. I know how much gas is in there. WTF, man. And I was like, we got extra, right? So like, it seems like if you just have a bill, right, you could maybe suss out that there's something wrong here, but you need an itemized list of like, what did you spend it on to really figure out the problem? And that's what they're denying us. You don't get to know. You know that we spent $65 at Petro-Canada, and you also know that your gas tank is a 35-liter gas tank. And so like, what the hell happened, Mark? It wasn't just chips. Okay. But anyway, it wasn't alcohol, whatever. We just spent a lot of money on candy. It was ridiculous. I was 16 years old. But anyway, regardless of all of that, we are being screwed, and Dad's not coming to say, give me an itemized list of what chips you bought, because this seems like it seems like I'm being robbed by the gas station, but I'm not. I'm being robbed by you, Mark. And so we're being robbed by our government, and we don't have any way to call them out. None whatsoever. And that's pretty bad. Tom Quiggin says, if the government's censoring information on foreign aid spending, it is doing so because corruption is involved. Yeah. Yep. That was a short way to say what I just said. The Kobalesi letter says, Happy Labor Day. There has never been a Labor Day with steaks as expensive as they are now. Live cattle prices have doubled in 5 years, driven by years of drought and high feed costs. Grilling steaks are becoming a luxury. Yes, that is by design. The powers that be think that cows drive climate change. And also, they know that we like eating meat, and they hate us, and they want to take away things that we like. They noticed that we liked cigarettes, and so they poisoned them. And now they're poisoning the food because they noticed that we like chocolate cereal. It might be a chicken or the egg kind of thing. It might have happened and then they poisoned it, or it happened with the intention of them poisoning it. I'm not entirely sure. The glyphosates, all of that seems bad. Seems like it's driving illness. But then on the other side, if you own a pharmaceutical company or a hospital or something like that, seems like you're making money hand over fist, right? Maybe you could sell them a subscription to this hospital thing, right? Like, my gosh. So all of this is by design, and it seems like our governments are driving this on purpose. And it's not because climate change is happening and they just don't know why they can't stop it. It's bad policy. The bad policy is driving this, unfortunately. Here is CBC Watcher, and they say Canada has 2 independent financial watchdogs of government spending, the Auditor General and the Parliamentary Budget Officer. As of Tuesday, one of them, the PBO, is gone without Prime Minister Mark Carney naming a replacement. Womp womp. So Toronto Sun's reporting this. Financial watchdog served taxpayers well, and now he's gone, right? So, and yeah, it's Yves Giroux, and he's gone. So what are you going to do now? It's been years. He's been saying, "Oh yeah, we can't make this spending permanent," as they make the spending permanent, right? Like, okay, I guess you guys are just going to ignore me, as they ignore him. So he was kind of useless, but at least he told us what was going on. Now we don't even get to know. Right, Glenn? Let's do the rest of the grab bag of governance. We won't make it through. The stream won't make it through, but if you want the full show, head over to CanadaPoly.com. Honestly, the most interesting part of the show today is in this series of tabs, the crime series of tabs, and the invasion series of tabs. The crime series of tabs is absolutely friggin' bonkers. It's crazy what's going on. There are children being raped in family homes where criminals who were previously caught for raping children were arrested and supposedly removed from the neighborhood, and now they're back in the neighborhood breaking into family homes after everybody's gone to bed. Holy smokeronis. It's absolutely crazy. And so people are asking the Prime Minister to come back and do work. And I don't want the Prime Minister to come back and do work. He doesn't work for us. He works for the globalists. If he comes back and does work, he's going to censor the internet, just like Keir Starmer's censoring the internet, just like they're censoring the internet in Australia, just like they're already trying to censor the internet here. So I don't want Mark Carney to come back and do anything for us at all, because he doesn't work for us. He's going to do things that harm Canada, I think. Here's Right Blend, and he says he's responding to Mark Carney. Mark Carney says the aftermath of the earthquake in Afghanistan is horrific, because Mark Carney doesn't care about Canada. Hundreds of lives lost, families displaced, and communities facing unimaginable hardship. As the Afghan people recover and rebuild, Canada stands ready to provide humanitarian support through our partners. So Afghanistan was used to be occupied by the United States, and then Biden left in a hurry, and a lot of places were concerned with how Afghanistan was treating their women and so on and so forth. And Canada, I think we've been sending money ever since. I don't think we ever stopped sending money to Afghanistan. And so I think it's strange, and not to say, they don't treat women well, so screw you and your earthquake. But it seems, again, strange to have so many problems in Canada and to focus on an Afghanistan earthquake okay, I guess. Like, I didn't even hear about the earthquake, so I don't know how bad it is or anything like that. And again, I'm not trying to minimize. Like, earthquakes are terrible. There's earthquakes in Turkey that happened that didn't get a mention. There's earthquakes in other parts of the world that happen that don't get a mention. There's horrible floods that happen that don't get a mention. But, this Afghanistan earthquake thing is really important, I guess. I don't get it. Why is it important to Canada? Why are we ready to stand with our partners and provide support? We don't have any money. Like, with what money are we doing this support with? Because I'd love to know where all this money's coming from, because what if we have a problem like wildfires? Do we have the money to support provinces fighting wildfires? Because it doesn't seem like we do. Seems like you try and lock us down and, ignore all of the things that could be done with the money that we're now sending to other places for natural disasters. Seems weird. Right Blend says Canadians are being murdered in their homes while the children watch. Get back to work. I don't want him to work, because if he works, he's going to censor the internet. Here is an example of what they are doing in our Liberal government, in the government that runs Canada. And this guy is talking about a new bill, C8, and he says they're going to backdoor this and we become China. And I think we're already there. Here we go.
The Liberal government just proposed a bill that will effectively make Canada a communist capitalist nation. I mean, if this goes through, we might as well call it China. This cybersecurity bill proposed by the Liberal government that can't give us a budget are trying to get safety standards for cybersecurity for our most important industries? Huh? And at first glance, this just looks like a harmless bill that will protect Canadians, but just like all the Liberal bills, it's just a huge Trojan horse that wants to trade freedom for safety. This bill will effectively give the Liberal government the authority to deem any service or system vital. By service or system, by the way, I mean telecommunications, pipelines, power lines, nuclear energy systems, federally regulated transportation systems, and banking systems. And once deemed vital, the government can issue orders to remove certain products or services, stop the service providers from providing services to certain people or companies, conduct security checks whenever they want under threat of fines that are up to $10 to $15 million per day and more. I mean, honestly, this is by far one of the scariest bills I've ever seen. They can enter the premises, examine records, and demand internal audits. So basically, do whatever we say, whenever we say, give us all the information on anyone we want at any time, or we'll hit you with ungodly fines and cripple the system. If this isn't government overreach and control, I really don't know what is. This combined with the Online News Act, these annoying speed cameras, heavily government-funded media, and we will effectively be a communist nation run from the top down. Your every move will be documented, your opinions will be censored, your information will be up for grabs, and your ideas will be force-fed to you by the government. Welcome to China.
Again, I don't think he's far off. I think that his concern is well-founded, and his articulation of the way to get there, the step-by-step practical movement to that kind of surveillance state, we're already on the pathway. We're already taking steps in that direction. In fact, people are doing it on their own without even very much encouragement by the government. Scary stuff. Here is CTV News, and James says the astonishing collapse of the NDP. And it's interesting. They go through how Jagmeet Singh betrayed his base and so on and so forth. And it's interesting and not surprising. Fundamentally, Canadians want to vote for somebody who looks like them. The majority of Canadians aren't Sikh. They don't look like Jagmeet Singh. So they're not going to vote for Jagmeet Singh. And the article, and that's not the case the article makes, that's the case that I make. But fundamentally, the article says that Jagmeet Singh became, like Justin Trudeau, like a leader-led party. And I think that there's some truth to that. But he turned the NDP into a communist, much more communist than they were under Mouclair, and certainly much more communist than they were under Layton. Although Layton was married to Olivia Chow, right? So she's kind of nutty, and she's very, very communist. So also, yeah, well, Olivia Chow, right? So anyway, regardless, the NDP is not what it once was. It used to be a farmers' party, and like it used to try and stand up for people who maybe didn't have a political voice, right? And then it just became a communist party, because standing up for people who don't have a political voice quickly becomes usurped by communists who see an opportunity. Contrarian says fighter jets over Calgary twice today. Something to do with the holiday? Yeah, there's a CFL game. There's a CFL Labor Day game that's quite traditional. And so the fighter jets need to stage. And so they fly around and then they get ready to do their flyover thing, right? So that's what's going on. I think it happened in Toronto too. I think there's there was some people were reporting some kind of airlines. Maybe there was an air show. I think there was an air show and a rib fest. So everybody's loving that. Juno News says trucking company in British Columbia has been found to have ties to a previous company that has been shut down by the province for too many overpass crashes. Shucks. What happens is they shut down the business and then they open the business again under a new name, and then they can just continue to operate as if nothing happened. So, and it takes people a long time to figure out, hey, this is the same group of people. Holy smokeronies. So we're being grifted. Crimes are happening. Nobody's being held accountable. And the people who are being victimized, the people who are being harmed by all of this, are people who get caught in the crossfire on the roads, right? Who get hit by a truck, by a driver who doesn't know what he's doing, or the municipality who has to pay for all of the damage from drivers who don't know what they're doing or who can't read English, et cetera, et cetera. We get screwed. We do. We get to pay for it, and we get no recourse to say, let's not let this happen again, right? I'm going to take my credit card out of the center thing from my car and I'm going to put it in my wallet, and you can pay for the gas now, Mark. That's what happened. Darn. Anyway, regardless, it's all good now. But we've got to say goodbye to the stream. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow. If you want the whole show, head over to CanadaPoly.com, and the whole show gets uploaded a little bit later because right now I have to go and finish doing the rest of the show, and that takes about 40 minutes, and then I have to upload it, and that takes another 15 minutes or so, and so there's a lag time. And then sometimes it's the last day of summer, and so I've got big plans for the last day of summer. Sometimes I get called away, and although it happens less starting tomorrow, so starting tomorrow will be much more reliable, but for now, sometimes people have to email me, and I do appreciate the help, everyone. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, on the stream, and we'll catch you tomorrow. And for everybody else, we will continue on as soon as I've made sure the stream is gone, and the stream is done, and we're all done. Okay, cool. So we'll carry on. Here is Anti-Hatred Network, and this is what's going on. This guy's asking for, what's it called? Going to political asylum, seeking political asylum in the United States. And his name is James Boder, and he's been criminally charged for peaceful protest, and he filed an asylum claim in the United States, and he has been, Edmonton Journal is reporting, convoy leader James Boder faces Canada-wide warrant after failing to appear in court. So he left